We are live. Second stream of the day. Day 6 of 30 days of streaming. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the stream. I'm going to get straight into it, even before anyone gets into the stream, because I have a time frame that I need to stick to. And I'm streaming on another channel as well. But if you watch this or listen to this, actually, if you listen to this after it's gone up, once it's been uploaded, then I want to introduce myself. My name is Adina, and I am a digital business owner. I'm a mentor, writer, and software developer as well. And on this channel, we're talking about building digital businesses, specifically using strategy and identity shifting and mindset training. I'm a massive advocate of manifestation and using your mind in the correct way to become successful. So in today's piece, we're talking about training the brain for consistent digital income with repetition, confidence building, and skill automation through neuroscience. So we're going to get straight into it. Anyone that comes into the stream, I will reiterate what we're talking about today, but I want to get straight into it so I don't take up too much time. I don't want to be on the stream for an hour. I just want to be on the stream for maybe 20 minutes or so. So let's get into this. So consistent digital income, it rarely comes from a single breakthrough idea. I mean, it can, but it grows from repeated actions that train the brain to execute skills reliably under changing conditions. So I want to just give you a quick story why I'm saying it rarely comes from a single breakthrough idea, even though it can. I started making money online after college, and even through college I was making a bit of money with blogging, but I made my first real money from freelancing. And so that was that. I was like, okay, great, this is good, this is sustainable. And then I started blogging consistently. And then from there, I built a large client base of clients where I was writing content for them. And I had too many clients, so I started outsourcing. And that's how I built my first real digital business. And it was a service-based business where we write content for clients, for brands, companies. And that was my first taste of digital business. But when it comes to like making real big money, it came when I started consistently blogging, consistently building blogs, and consistently selling digital products. That's when things really started to take off for me. But it wasn't my first digital product. It was my second digital product that really blew up. And that was after a good, I would say, 3 years of really consistently blogging, putting content out there, like written content. And I even had a couple of digital products actually that just flopped. But I had one specific digital product that was a complete and utter flop. I think I sold like 3 books, and one of them was my sister. And so when I actually look back at things, and when I think about it now, I realise that my success in selling digital products has actually come from a series of consistent actions over a few years. Hi everyone. Hope you're all well. You can tell me where you're watching from or where you're listening from as well. But I'm going to get on with this because I'm talking about training the brain for consistent digital income. So the success that I've had from selling digital products has actually come from a series of consistent actions over years. It wasn't just one viral video or one viral article that took things to the next level for me, even though there was a particular article that did help me to take things to the next level. I'm thinking about what I did prior to all of that actually got me to that point in the first place. So it does take, I'm not going to say you have to struggle and go through sleepless nights and all of that stuff, but you have to understand that especially if you're someone who struggles with consistency and has never had any success at all, you have to understand that you need to put in some time, put in some effort, some work. Many creators, and maybe you might be one of these creators or one of these digital business owners, understand what to do but struggle to do it consistently. And this is the problem. The gap between knowledge and income often reflects how the brain learns, automates skills, and builds confidence over time. I've done a lot of research in neuroscience and psychology, and what I've noticed is that consistency depends less on motivation and more on repetition, feedback, and identity alignment. So when creators work with these mechanisms rather than against them, digital income becomes more stable and predictable. So motivation isn't the thing that is going to keep you going. And this is the thing. I hear people say this a lot. I don't feel motivated to work. Well, if you're going to rely on motivation, you most likely will never get anything done at all. Because motivation is fleeting. And so you might have days when you're like pumped to work, sit down, open your laptop, yeah, let me get some work done. And the next day you feel nothing and you don't want to do anything at all. And those are the days when you need to actually put in the work. That's the reason why small, consistent actions over a long period of time are better than short bursts of productivity where you work for a bit and you're motivated and you're really pumped to work. And then after you've done that for 3 or 4 days, you just decide that you don't have any more motivation and then you stop. And I noticed that happens a lot with building YouTube channels, building any kind of page, any kind of platform. Often you see people going all in. I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to lock in. It just reminds me of the whole January, New Year, New Me thing. You start off the first few weeks of January and you're like, yes, I'm going to go all in, and then crash. February hits and you're like, I'm done. That's the reason why I'm a massive advocate of doing challenges every single month. For the whole entire year, do a challenge. Each month doesn't have to be as intense as the previous month. So you can do a 30-day challenge where you do 1 post a day. You can do another challenge where you do 2 posts a day. You can do another challenge where all you're doing is posting shorts. Another challenge where all you're doing is posting 10-minute videos. Another challenge where you're doing, so if you're someone who writes articles, I'm going to do a 600-word article every single day for the next 30 days. I'm going to spend the next 30 days engaging every day and doing less content and putting less content out there. So if you're a YouTuber, for example, you could do a challenge where every single day your goal is to engage with other creators and create 1 YouTube community post. So it doesn't always have to be video. Why does consistency matter more than intensity? The brain learns through repetition. That's the reason why I love robotic affirming, where you affirm something multiple times over and over and over and over again with no feeling or emotion behind it at all. But you're just repeating that to train your brain that this thing is true. Each repeated action strengthens neural pathways associated with that behavior. So when you combine robotic affirming or affirmations, repeated affirmations, with inspired action, my goodness. If you fail, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Seriously, there must be a problem. Because I've never failed when I use repeated affirmations and repeated action. I've never failed. Every single time I've done that, I've always succeeded. And sometimes you have to measure failure from a different angle. Some people might say, okay, well, I failed because I didn't get 5,000 subscribers in a month. But actually, if you were to look back and see what you've done, and you've managed to post 30 posts every single day for 30 days, is that a failure? What are you measuring it by? Is it the amount of money you've made? You might have even still made some money, but that money might not have come yet. But in the future, someone could message you and say, I saw your article, or I saw your video, and that's the reason why I've purchased this product. But that might be in two months' time or one month time. So the process that we're talking about when new neural pathways are made is the process is called neuroplasticity, and it allows skills to become faster, more accurate, and less mentally demanding. So in digital product creation, for example, repetition might include writing sales pages, recording content, responding to customer feedback, or improving offers. So early attempts require focused effort because the brain treats them as new. So over time, repetition reduces cognitive effort and increases execution speed. So I've done a bit of research on skill acquisition, and the information that I found was that consistent practice produces better long-term outcomes than sporadic high-effort work. So intensity can spark progress, but repetition sustains it. That's the reason why this is something that I do. It's very powerful. And I did that to build another channel of mine. So what you do is you do small actions every single day consistently, and one day out of the month, you do something called a rampage, where you go all in for that day, only one day in the month. So it's equivalent of doing something like a refeed day. Do you know when you're trying to lose weight and all of that, and you're on a lower calorie diet, and you refeed, and then you go back to your normal way of doing things. And it sort of resets your metabolism. It's the same thing. Doing that resets the algorithm. So you'll do daily content, one post a day or something like this, whatever challenge you choose. And then one day you do a rampage day. And on that rampage day, what you're going to do is you're going to post at least 10 pieces of content. It sounds like a lot, but it's only one day in the month. And 10 pieces of content could look like 5 YouTube Shorts videos or TikTok videos. Or you could do 5 YouTube Shorts videos, 5 TikTok videos. You could do 5 YouTube Shorts videos and 5 YouTube community posts. You could do 2 Medium articles or 2 blog posts. And you could do 4 YouTube Shorts and 4 TikTok posts. It really depends on where you're posting and your content mix. And on that rampage day, you're going to affirm every single hour while you are awake. It sounds like a lot, but I tell you what, it is so powerful. And your affirmation is going to relate to whatever goals you have or whatever decisions you've made in regards to the success that you want to see. So, for example, if you're saying $10,000 a month is my target, I don't use the word goal anymore. I like to say that I make decisions. So if I'm deciding I'm going to make $10,000 a month, I'm making $10,000 a month, that's a decision I've made. My affirmation will be, I make $10,000 a month. I make $10,000 a month. I make $10,000 a month. And I'm going to be doing the rampage day where I'm posting 10 pieces of content for one day. It is such a powerful thing to do. People don't, I've told people this before and they're like, that sounds like too much work. But it's not, because you're not doing it every day. You're doing it for one day in the month. And I like to do this either on the first day of the month or in the middle of the month. When you do it on the first day of the month, it kind of sets the tone, and then you can just focus on doing your daily content for the rest of the month. Or you can just ease yourself into the month, and then you can do your rampage day halfway through the month. But trust me, it's really, really, really powerful doing this. Small, consistent, intentional actions throughout the month, and then you do one rampage day where you go all in. So I want to talk about skill automation and how it reduces mental effort. So skill automation occurs when repeated behaviours shift from conscious control to more automatic brain systems. So if you think about early learning relies heavily on the prefrontal cortex, which manages attention and decision-making. So as skills automate, control shifts towards subcortical systems that operate with less effort. And this shift explains why experienced creators make decisions faster and recover from setbacks more easily. Their brains no longer evaluate every step consciously. I want to give you an example. Let me give you an example. And this is my own example, something that happened to me. So I've been creating written content for over a decade now, written content. And, I've been doing video content as well, but the written content has been the most prominent for me. And on the same day, I had a blog just completely get deleted. I don't even know. Up to now, I don't know where that blog is. I did everything in my power to get it back up, contacted the hosting company, did all the things, and it had just disappeared. On the same day, my Medium account was also deleted. Imagine, on the same day. I got my Medium page back after a couple of days, but my sales drastically reduced in that time because my Medium account was a massive traffic driver. My blog was also a massive traffic driver. And so my sales went down at least 50% in that, few days. But instead of me wallowing in self-pity, saying, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I immediately set up another Medium page. I immediately created another blog. Within the next day or so, my blog was up. I had all my content already in my Google Drive, and I just started transferring everything over onto the new blog. I created I transferred the domain over onto that, and I just started again. And I remember people saying, oh my God, I remember I had a team at the time, and people were like, my goodness, like they were so stressed out. And I was like, this is normal to have setbacks in any business. So instead of you to wallow in self-pity, you need to get up and you need to go. It reminds me of like during the time when they had when it was lockdown. I remember I was in Ghana at the time. And the businesses that survived that lockdown were the businesses that they jumped into action. And instead of them wallowing in self-pity, saying, my goodness, what's going to happen next? They decided to start making face masks. Like the masks, the nose masks things. They started making those. People started making those. Companies, even restaurants, they started making those because even though they had the ability to do deliveries for food, and people would pick it up on the roadside and stuff, they still lost a lot of business. They still lost a lot of business because people didn't even want to eat food from that someone else had made. And so even restaurants in Ghana were making face masks. Sorry, nose masks, like the nose, to cover your nose during lockdown. And so those were the businesses that thrived. So even after lockdown, they were fine. The ones that collapsed were the ones that sat around crying like, my goodness, this is a terrible thing, my business is failing because of this situation. They didn't spring into action. So this shift that I'm talking about, the skill automation and how it reduces mental effort, it explains why experienced creators and business owners, they make decisions faster and recover from setbacks much easier. So automation does not reduce creativity. It frees mental resources for higher level thinking, such as strategy, innovation, and refinement. Let me say that again. Automation doesn't reduce creativity. What it does is it frees your mental resources for higher level thinking, such as strategy, refinement, and innovation. So your confidence grows from evidence. Confidence, it plays a critical role in consistent income. And in the research that I've done about neuroscience, it shows that confidence reflects perceived self-efficacy rather than personal traits. So self-efficacy develops through mastery experiences, not encouragement alone. So each completed task provides the brain with evidence of capability. So repetition strengthens this evidence. So over time, confidence stabilizes because the brain trusts its ability to perform the behavior again. It reminds me of when I was in school, when I used to run track. I used to do 100 meters and 200 meters, and I did shot put. You see that ball that you throw? And I remember my teacher, well done, well done, well done, pat me on the back. And after a while, she just stopped saying it, and it really affected me because she wasn't constantly praising me. And one day I said to her, why have you stopped saying well done? And she was like, yeah, well, you should know your ability by now. She was like, I'm focusing on the newcomers that have come in, the younger ones that need a bit more encouragement. But over time, I'm going to stop constantly praising them and just allow them to grow in confidence and know that they don't need external validation to continue pushing through. Even though it does help sometimes to have someone sort of encouraging you, but if you cannot encourage yourself, then you might as well quit, to be honest. Because what is going to keep you going is seeing the results, not just the money that comes from it, but seeing that you have managed to produce content for 30 days or even 10 days or 7 days or 8 days straight, and you haven't quit, you haven't given up, despite not receiving all the accolades and the claps and all of that, and people saying, well done, good job, good job, good job, good job, and seeing loads of likes. At one point, I used to get really upset when I was in a relationship and my partner didn't say, oh, well done, when I'd achieved something. And so I remember when I did this challenge where I was writing 100,000 words in 3 days. That's more than 30,000 words a day. And I remember when I achieved it, and I was waiting for my partner at the time to be like, good job, well done, like, let's celebrate. And he was just sitting there. I'm like, I managed to achieve my goal. And he was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I deserve something, you know? And it made me realize that I was doing a lot of things to actually, for external validation. And what I realized was that the validation I needed was from myself. All I needed to do was say, do you know what? I've done a good job here. I managed to do 100,000 words in 3 days, type 100,000 words in 3 days. Like, I deserve some accolade, but it wasn't, that accolade shouldn't have come from someone else. It needs to come from me. So, creators who trust their ability to repeat skills rely less on external validation and short-term results. So for me, I ignore all of these things like likes and all this stuff, even though it's great to see that because you think, okay, people actually care, people actually like it. But that's not what keeps me going. That doesn't keep me going. What keeps me going is knowing that I'm building upon my skills and knowing that I'm going to keep going, and by the end of the challenge or by the end of the week or whatever it is, I'm going to look back and say, oh, I did that. I managed to post every single day for this week. And I congratulate myself. And I know that by the end of that week or by the end of that challenge, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days or whatever, I am going to have improved my skills, whether they be communication skills, whether they be creating skills in terms of creativity and creating more content, whether that be improving upon my skills, my sales skills, because, as a creator, if you're selling products, you need to learn how to do that. You need to build on that skill to sell. So why does early income feel unstable? Early digital income, it often arrives inconsistently. And this pattern reflects incomplete skill automation. So when behaviors still require conscious effort, performance varies, energy, mood, and context. So the brain treats these tasks as demanding. And that is the reason why you might procrastinate, especially in the beginning, because your brain treats these new tasks as demanding, and it makes you feel like you don't want to do anything. And so you kind of move away from it because you think this is too hard. And this increases fatigue and avoidance, procrastination. So as automation improves, output stabilizes and creators execute reliably because the brain recognizes familiar patterns. That is the reason why I'm a massive advocate of challenges. I'm a massive advocate of challenges and I'm a massive advocate of robotic affirmations. because the brain recognizes familiar patterns. And so when you begin to affirm every single day and create every single day and produce content every day, put whatever it is out there every single day, whatever content you're putting out there, whether it be written content or video content or pictures or whatever, your brain begins to recognize familiar patterns. So you begin to execute reliably, and that cycle of procrastination starts to flake away. I'm not going to say that you might procrastinate. You're not going to procrastinate in the future ever, but you reduce that risk of procrastinating because you have found yourself in a pattern, or you have thrown yourself into a pattern, a familiar pattern that you stick to. And it gets to a point where it becomes automatic. You don't have to force yourself. You start thinking, there'll be some days where you might not be able to do something because of some family emergency or whatever it is, and you feel something is missing. I remember when my sister was in hospital, and we used to have to go and see her every single day. I was in Ghana at the time. I had to go to the UK, and we had to go and see her every single day, and I couldn't work the way I wanted to work, and it didn't feel right. And so I had to switch my pattern, and I started waking up at 4 a.m. every single day with my 2 laptops in the dark in the dining room. And I remember my parents saying, "Oh, you're waking up too early to work. It's too much. What are you doing?" And I'm like, I need to finish my work, because I've become so accustomed to working every single day and putting content out there every single day that to not be able to do that, it was just too much for me. It affected my mental health, actually. And it took its toll on my nervous system, because I had built a very solid routine. I'm not saying I was addicted to work, as in I had to work 10 hours a day, no. But I've distilled my work cycle down to, my work routine down to 4 hours a day. When I'm in my normal work routine, I'm on 4 hours a day. I can get my work done in 4 hours a day, and I can do whatever I want. But I couldn't even do 4 hours a day because I was like having to sort of be back and forth. And so I stuck to waking up at 4 a.m. and working for 4 hours till 8 a.m. and then going, having a shower and going about my day and going to the hospital and all of that. So your income consistency reflects behavioural consistency more than market conditions. So if you stay consistent, you'll find that people continue to purchase from you even when market conditions are kind of shaky. Even during the recession, all that kind of stuff, you will find that people continue to still purchase from you. Because people trust you, because you've remained consistent, and you become a consistent part of their lives. Identity accelerates skill consolidation. Let's talk about this. Identity shapes how the brain interprets repetition. So when creators identify as someone who builds and sells digital products, repetition feels aligned rather than forced. So if you're creating content and people know that you are selling digital products and you sell digital products, or that you teach about selling digital products, and a lot of the content that you produce is about this, what's going to happen is that people are going to get so familiar with your content that it's going to help you over time to build that trust. And psychology research shows that identity-consistent behaviour repeats more easily. So each aligned action reinforces identity, which reduces internal resistance. For example, viewing content creation as part of a professional role rather than a personal test reduces emotional load. The brain interprets setbacks as feedback rather than failure. So identity alignment supports consistency by reducing friction at the start of each session. So this is the reason why I mentioned in the previous piece, I mentioned about how important it is to identify as a specific thing and treat it like a job. I don't know if it was this morning's or this afternoon's stream, or whether it was on my other channel, but I mentioned something about if you're manifesting a certain amount of money, you want to make it out like what you're doing is a job. and that your salary is this amount of money. So your salary is $10,000 a month. So because you've identified that this is your job and your salary is this amount, your brain begins to feel comfortable with that amount of money, and you start to feel like it's normal to earn that amount of money. And so your nervous system actually calms down because it knows that this is how much you make. And then as time goes on, you have to level up your identity to hit higher targets. Anyway, these are some practical steps to train the brain for consistent income. Step 1 is to choose repeatable income skills. Identify skills that directly support income, such as writing offers, building email sequences, or improving onboarding. Focus repetition on these skills rather than consistently switching tasks. Another thing you can do to train the brain for consistent income is to practice at a sustainable frequency. So consistency matters more than duration. Short daily practice builds neural pathways more effectively than occasional long sessions. So you can say to yourself, each day I'm going to post a 5-minute video where I just sit there and talk blah, 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 blah about whatever topic, and it's unedited, it's just raw, and you post it. It reminds me of a guy called Adam, I forget his surname, but his name is Adam, and he's a YouTube creator, and he also creates on Threads as well. And he is a digital product seller, and every single day he posts a video between 5 and 10 minutes long, and that video is of him walking, because he does walking every single day for 40 minutes, and he's piled high this consistent routine of walking and creating content every single day without fail. And the videos are short. So when he's done with his videos for the day, I don't know what else he does, but that's the most important thing for him, is to post that video. So when you think about consistency, you don't get scared and think, oh, it means I have to do 100 things. No, you don't. You could just do one small thing each day, and that will compound over time. You know, for me, I'm doing a challenge, so I'm doing a little bit more. But even still, I've chosen live streaming over creating videos and editing them. Even though in the beginning I was doing a lot of audio pieces. I think I've done about 7 audio pieces throughout this 33-day challenge. But then I decided to switch and do a 30-day live stream challenge. Not switch, but I included it. And I'm including these live streams in my 33-day challenge. Live streams, in my opinion, are a much more relaxed way of creating content. The only problem with a live stream, though, is that you could lose the content if it doesn't upload for some reason. If for some reason it's corrupt, the file is corrupt or something and it doesn't upload, or the internet, there's a problem with the internet or something, or there's a sound issue, you've lost that whole piece of content. So that's the only issue. But it's a much more relaxed way of creating content. Sometimes you have to find the thing that is a little bit easier and just do that thing. Anyway, track completed actions rather than outcomes. So record actions taken rather than revenues generated. This approach reinforces self-efficacy and keeps attention on controllable inputs. So you want to track what you've done in a day rather than, I didn't make any money. And this is a habit that you have to form. Because what you need to realize is that eventually you will make that money. But the goal is to track what you have done. The next thing is to create feedback loops. Review performance regularly. Feedback strengthens learning and accelerates automation. Let's get on to the final thing, the final step, and that is to reinforce identity through language. Describe your work in terms of what you do consistently, and this reinforces alignment between behavior and identity. So you want to be describing the work in terms of what you do consistently. So are you a content creator? You say that. Are you a blogger? Say that. What do you do on a daily basis? When someone asks you, what do you do on a daily basis? You should be able to explain what you do on a daily basis quite quickly as well. Oh, I'm a blogger. What do you do every day? I write 1 blog post a day. I write 1 email. I engage 5 times. But you might not have to say all those things, but you can say, I write articles. I write blog posts. Oh, I'm a content creator. I do videos. What do you do each day? I create videos and I post them. And I might respond to emails from brand deals and things like that, or send out proposals for brand deals and things like that. Okay, a realistic example from digital products is consider a creator selling digital course. Early launches produce inconsistent results. Each campaign feels stressful and unpredictable. But each campaign, like it does, it feels scary. You know, the creator shifts focus to repetition. They practice writing offers weekly, refine onboarding monthly, and review customer feedback consistently. Over time, these skills automate and campaigns feel easier to run and results stabilize. So the change reflects behavior rather than luck. Let me just quickly talk about why repetition improves emotional regulation. Repetition also trains emotional responses. The brain learns that effort doesn't equal threat. Stress responses decrease as tasks become familiar as well. The neuroscience research shows that repeated exposure to manageable challenges reduces this feeling of fear and stress. Creators experience less anxiety around launches, pricing, or visibility as well. So improved emotional regulation supports better decision making and long-term persistence. I'm going to just give you some of the key takeaways and end this stream here. So consistent digital income reflects how well the brain has trained core skills through repetition. And as I mentioned before, neuroplasticity allows repeated behaviors to automate, reducing effort and variability as well. So confidence grows from evidence built through action, not from motivation alone. Remember that. Confidence grows from evidence built through action, not from motivation alone. Identity alignment reduces resistance and supports consistency. So when creators design routines that reinforce repeatable skills, income stabilizes as a natural outcome of that. So training the brain requires patience, structure, and trust in the process. Over time, repetition transforms effort into reliability and skill into sustainable digital income. I really hope that helped you and that you've taken down some notes about this. And I hope that it helps you to stay consistent in whatever you do. Good luck in whatever you do. I have a couple of links in the description. My Digital Abundance Challenge, my 33 Digital Abundance Challenge, and my Remote Tasks Club as well. If you're looking to make some income without having to search for work and all of that jazz, then you can check out the link in the bio as well for the Remote Tasks Club. And I'll see you soon. Bye.